Michael Rabin, another tragic story of a violinist. There are a few. On this channel I've already covered Joseph Hessid, Ginette Neveu and Jacques Thibault. And of course we don't want to forget Christian Ferras as well. And now we come on to Michael Rabin. These are tragic stories, but after all, they are what fascinates us mere mortals in this incredible world of the violin. This is what, after all, makes this violin universe so fascinating at times to us. Michael Rabin has been described as one of the most talented and tragic violin virtuosi of his generation. An unstoppable child prodigy of the 1950s who was touted as the next Jascha Heifetz. In the span of a decade, Michael Rabin went from pudgy Wunderkind to a young man grappling with the challenges of fame and a developing neurological condition. Michael Rabin was of Romanian Jewish descent. His mother, Jean Seidman, was a Juilliard-trained pianist born to Russian Jewish immigrants, and she would oversee every inch of her son's musical development and would often push the boy to practice up to 8 hours a day. His father, George Rabinovitz, was a violinist in the New York Philharmonic, the son of Romanian immigrants and the second oldest of 9 children. And so his father and mother were both trained musicians, rather like Alfredo Campelli himself. Michael's mother would eventually teach private piano lessons. Michael began to study violin at the age of 7, and his parents continued to encourage his musical development. After a lesson with Jascha Heifetz, the master advised him to study with Ivan Galamian, who said that he had no weaknesses, never. Michael's older brother Jay, a little boy described as a natural pianist who was taught by his mother, tragically died aged 8 from scarlet fever. Within a period of 4 years, Rabin's mother Jean had lost her father, mother and her first child. Bertine Rabinovitz was born on February 27, 1934, 2 years before Michael, and the 2 children grew up in a house filled with music. Michael's father George had relatives who included Rose, Jean and Grace, who performed around the country as the Rabinovitz Trio. His eldest sister Clara was an accomplished piano soloist, and George's younger brother moonlighted as a violinist. The family's apartment also included musical guests. Dinner was often followed by chamber music, with the children drifting to sleep as their relatives played Mozart and Beethoven. Such was the musical environment in which these children grew up. After the birth of their children, George and Jean decided to abbreviate their surname, and so Rabinovitz became Rabin. The family had a happy life in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which was a predominantly Jewish neighborhood at the time. George was working steadily while Jean continued to offer piano lessons, affording the family a comfortable lifestyle. A common story about Michael Rabin's early childhood is that he could beat perfect time with a wooden spoon at the age of 1. By the age of 3, he had developed perfect pitch. He could accurately call out any note after any sound, from a key on the piano to a car horn outside. Jean also devoted herself to teaching piano to her 2 young children. Bertine and Michael both received lessons from their mother for many years, starting at the age of 6. Interestingly, Michael did not play the violin during his earliest years, despite his father being a professional violinist. It would take a trip to the country for Michael to discover the instrument that would change his life. Michael's family went on a trip to the country for a short day with family friends, the Spielberg family. William Spielberg was a doctor and amateur violinist. Mr. Spielberg also bred white turkeys. During the trip, Michael was wandering around the property when he discovered a child's violin. He picked up the instrument, began tuning it, and would not put it down when it was time to leave. Mr. Spielberg let Michael keep the violin. George restrung the instrument after they got back home and began teaching Michael how to play. After just a few lessons, George realised that Michael's natural abilities surpassed his own. George decided that Michael would likely develop more under the leadership of a more skilled instructor. In the fall of 1943, Michael returned to school. He was also receiving piano lessons from his mother and violin lessons from his father. George had started looking for a new teacher for Michael. He arranged for Michael to play for Ivan Galamian, who had recently moved to a nearby apartment. After listening to Michael perform, Galamian was impressed enough to arrange for him to study at his studio. Galamian's assistant began instructing Michael Rabin until Galamian took over teaching duties himself. Michael Rabin began studies with Galamian in New York and at the Meadowmount School of Music and the Juilliard School. His Carnegie Hall debut took place in January 1950 at the age of 13, as soloist with the National Orchestral Association, playing Vieuxtemps Concerto No. 5 under the direction of Léon Barzin. Subsequently, he appeared with a number of American orchestras before another Carnegie Hall appearance on the 29th of November 1951 at the age of 15, playing the Paganini D Major Concerto with Dmitri Mitropoulos, conducting the New York Philharmonic. These Carnegie Hall appearances were met with critical acclaim. The writer of a biography on Michael Rabin, Feinstein, chronicles the 1950s as one smashing success after another, as Rabin amazed audiences with fiendishly difficult pieces by Paganini, Tchaikovsky, Wieniawski, and others. Michael Rabin the boy was known for his sweetness, his love for airplanes and photography, but also his seemingly chronic loneliness. His 1958 recording of the Paganini Concerto is considered by many to be the most impressive performance of this work, and the recording itself is notable for the fullness of tone. His first London appearance took place on the 13th of December 1954 at age 18, playing the Tchaikovsky Concerto in D at the Royal Albert Hall with the BBC Symphony Orchestra. He would go on to travel, according to some estimates, over 700,000 miles during his concertizing career. Some recordings of Michael Rabin to mention: he recorded concertos by Mendelssohn, Glazunov, Paganini, No. 1 in D major, 2 recordings, Wieniawski, No. 1 in F sharp minor, No. 2 in D minor, and Tchaikovsky, as well as Bruck's Scottish Fantasy and the Paganini Caprices for solo violin. He recorded the Bach Sonata No. 3 in C major for solo violin and the 3rd and 4th sonatas for solo violin by Eugene Issai, as well as other virtuoso pieces, including an album with the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra, to mention but a few. Rabin played in a bel canto style. For many years he played the Kubelik Guarnerius del Gesù of 1735. He toured widely, playing in all major cities in the US, Europe, South America, Southern Africa and Australia. He even appeared on a 1951 episode of the variety television series Texaco Star Theatre. Constantly on the road in the early 60s, Rabin began taking prescription medication. He soon became addicted, with side effects wreaking havoc on his health and ruining performances. Disaster followed disaster, until Rabin hit rock bottom in 1963 with a nervous breakdown. Rabin rejuvenated his career shortly after, but was never quite the same. He was no longer the world's preeminent violinist. Big concert stages no longer beckoned. Recording studios remained closed to him, and despite his strenuous efforts to kick his drug habit, he never quite did. He'd worked his way back into the public's favour. He had a busy schedule. He had a steady girlfriend. Feinstein shows that Rabin's death in the end was nothing more than a tragic, avoidable accident. During a recital in Carnegie Hall, he suddenly lost his balance and fell forward. This was an early sign of a neurological condition which was to limit his career from then on. His death at 35 resulted from a fall in his apartment in New York City. A very young age to go. Michael Rabin was a gentle, unlucky genius who gave us beautiful music during his short time on Earth. Sadly, the career of Michael Rabin was cut extremely short. He died at the age of 35 and had not released a notable recording since his early 20s. Despite his short career, Michael Rabin remains renowned for his playing abilities. His legacy lives on in several compilations of his performances from the height of his career. Interesting fact, Michael Rabin played the violin solos in the 1954 MGM film Rhapsody, starring Elizabeth Taylor. A biography on Rabin worth checking out is Michael Rabin, America's Virtuoso Violinist by Anthony Feinstein,